Welcome everyone to today's workbook discussion on Zoom. Welcome also to all who join us later by watching or listening to this recording. I'm Laura Fenimore, the Chief Development Officer and Volunteer Coordinator with the Foundation for Inner Peace, the scribe authorized publisher of A Course in Miracles. We really appreciate your partnership with the Foundation. And if you want to learn more about the Foundation or A Course in Miracles, please visit acim.org. If you feel inspired to make a love offering, please visit acim.org, and at the top of the page, you will find the word donate. All donations support the work of the Foundation. Each session will be delving into a discussion of the workbook lessons in A Course in Miracles, led by a moderator team of volunteers that work with the Foundation. What does discussion mean? In our gatherings here, we welcome the Holy Spirit to join us. Through this presence, our meeting becomes a joining of equals to commune with the Holy Spirit's guidance to experience miracles together. Some of the moderators here also support our social media channels, and if you'd like a list of FIP resources, please email support@acim.org, and we'll be happy to share the resource list with you. Now let's begin our discussion.
Welcome, everybody. Let me share my screen. I think Johanna, I might have been confused about what I was going to share. So some of this might be a repetition. I apologize for that.
It's the guidelines that you'd like to share.
Oh, the guidelines. Okay, so this is this is not it, right? This is what Laura just said. Okay.
I could share if you'd like me to.
Yeah, if you don't mind. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I wasn't prepared.
No problem. That's okay. Yeah, and now I'm having to look for it too. All right.
I have it up on my screen, Johanna.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Go ahead. I thought I had it handy, but I haven't.
I've got it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maggie. So welcome, everybody. So this session is sponsored, as you know, by the Foundation for Inner Peace, which is the scribe authorized publisher, and a dedicated team of volunteers facilitate these sessions to create a supportive and learning environment. These guidelines are here to just essentially remind us of how we are all actually showing up in this safe space to foster a positive environment where we can interact in the most loving manner. So I'll have you glance through these. I won't read them. Let's embrace kindness and respect. Let's focus on the course. And as always, as we almost always have done, share openly and respectfully. And this really takes us to a little bit of quiet where we are now going to welcome the Holy Spirit. So if you'd like, let's just close our eyes gently and put our attention to our breathing. If the breathing was a little hurried, you might slow it down some. And in the Holy Scriptures of people around the world, the presence of Spirit, the Holy Spirit, is often made akin to the breath. So as we breathe in, let's visualize breathing in the Holy Spirit. As we breathe out, we do the same. And in essence, all the air that we are breathing in and out is made of atoms that are really present around the planet. So our breath is what actually connects us. So if you would gently open your eyes and acknowledge everyone present in the room, and realize that as we continue to breathe, we are staying connected to each other through the Holy Spirit. And so welcome today to our next discussion. So let me share with you lesson 87, which is where we will begin today. Now, as I was looking through these lessons, and if you'll remember from last time and recently, this has been a review. So even if, or even before we start reading through this lesson, I'd like to ask us a question, which is, if you notice, lesson 87 begins with a rehash of lesson 73. I will, there be light. And then the next one is, there is no will but God's. So my question is, why is Jesus in this case, or the Course, asking us to be the willing person? The statement says, I will, there be light. What is going on here? Yes, Marguerite, please go ahead and share your thoughts.
Well, the thought that came when you asked the question was choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Beautiful.
clue. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's beautiful. Doreen?
Yeah, what came to mind is we are addicted to darkness.
And so you're suggesting we're almost being asked to wake up.
To wake up, but before we can wake up, we have to become conscious that we are addicted to darkness.
Okay.
We have to become aware of that.
Thank you. Megan?
What hit me was that when I see through Christ's eyes, my will is God's will, and there is light because God is light. So I just thought, when I'm in ego mind, or when I feel separate from God, I have separated my will from his. Thanks.
Thank you, Megan. Mia?
I see it as I will, as in I create, like that there be light. So we are creators. That's how I see it.
Thank you, Mia. That's also, everything everyone said is so beautiful. And I think we pretty much covered all the perspectives and the angles. And so I was thinking in a similar fashion. So remember, some part of us chose to be in this illusion, chose to remember not to laugh and become serious about stuff. And then everything solidified around us. And this world as we know it appeared. So whoever was raising their hand, please continue raising your hand if you'd like to speak. I'll just share this, which is, so just like Mia said, we are being reminded to reassert our will because we are creators alongside of God. And we can, and then also as Marguerite said, it's our choice. We can choose to remember who we are and assert the will that is God's will. And our words are extremely important. And so, I will, there be light is one of those assertions, a mantra that we can utter and make and call to reality what truly is. So if someone can raise their hand to read this first paragraph of lesson 87, please. Okay, Nanette, please go ahead. Stephanie, you can go next.
I will there be light. I will use the power of my will today. It is not my will to grope about in darkness, fearful of shadows and afraid of things unseen and unreal. Light shall be my guide today. I will follow it where it leads me, and I will look only on what it shows me. This day I will experience the peace of true perception.
That's beautiful. It reminded me, Nanette, I'll ask you to say a few words, but as you read it, also reminded me from the last sentence, I will look only on what it shows me, and this day I will experience the peace of true perception. What Uma shared earlier, how does the Holy Spirit see this? And that's beautiful. Nanette, would you like to add a commentary to what you read?
The Course is always about remembering what already is. So what kept coming to me deep, and I use the term soul. The Course doesn't use that term too much, but it does use it. Somewhere in the depth of my soul, it's just accepting the light that's always been there. Always, always, always. So when I say I will, it's just, I'm resting, I'm remembering that which already is. And so then I just travel lighter. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Very beautifully expressed and uttered. Megan?
It just reminded me when Nanette was speaking of the name William. When you break it down, it's Will I Am. I always thought that was interesting.
Yes, yes. Beautiful, beautiful. And actually, let me share back the lesson. And Stephanie, as this comes up, maybe you'd like to read the remaining part of the lesson, because its application has to do with our daily life.
Okay, so I'm reading number 2 and just finishing 2 and 3.
Yes, please.
Okay. These
Actually,
forms,
2, and if you'd like to, yeah, maybe we'll pause after reading 2 and see what you think about what you read.
Okay. 2. These forms of this idea would be helpful for specific applications. This cannot hide the light I will to see. You stand with me in light, whoever, everyone. In the light, this will look different. Do you want me to stop here?
Would you like to say something about this idea and how what it means to our practice?
Yes. So I want to comment. It was the combination of everybody else's comment that brought this awareness to me. So the words, I will there be light. I realized that if it had said, I will be light, that would be easy to, for me to grasp. So I said, why I will there be light? And this is what came to me. Knowing myself as an individual, that's here. There is outside of me. Of course, I am outside of me and inside of me, but I thought it's so subtle and yet so obvious. everyone. It's oneness. So I don't know if I was clear, but it was clear to me. Was it clear, Manu, or no? Yeah.
Yes, totally
Yes,
clear.
yes.
And if you build on what you said, Stephanie, and go into the practice, it says, this cannot hide the light I will to see. So, whatever situation or circumstance it is, you are saying that out there, I will see the light which is in here and everywhere. And then if I'm viewing another brother or sister in any other light than light itself, it says, you stand with me in that same light. In the light, this will look different. So we are just being constantly reminded to know that we are choosing to see the light that is, like you said, present everywhere.
Can I add just one thing? So in the last week since I was here with you, I had 3 somewhat painful experiences. But here's the wonderful part of it. Each one of them brought me more knowledge, more awareness. And because I've learned from A Course in Miracles to not waste time feeling guilty and beating myself up or blaming and being angry at other people and like going over and over at my mind. Like I just like as soon as it happened, I was like right on to just giving it to spirit, to the Holy Spirit to tell me how to see it differently. And I did so much less analyzing. I still, I'm not over my analyzing, but still. And I feel so grateful because the concept that I know Johanna loves so much, which is all things work together for good. I'm really experiencing it. And it's unbelievable how much joy could be in a person's life. I never would have known this. I had so much darkness. So now, yay. Thank you.
That's so beautiful, Stephanie. Wow. Yeah, exactly. So I think you've expressed how we all feel as we practice or we try to practice the course. Obviously, each day is a challenge in its own way. And so, Johanna, you go next, please.
Yeah, I saw Uma waving her hand.
Okay, thank you. Uma, would you like to speak?
I was clapping because this whole thing is so incredible. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for being here.
How would the Holy Spirit see this? It's just beautiful. Thank you. Okay, Megan.
I just looked something up through the course because you were talking about vision and sight. And so I just want to read something from chapter 2, 3. It says, eventually everyone begins to recognize, however dimly, that there must be a better way. As this recognition becomes more firmly established, it becomes a turning point. This ultimately reawakens spiritual vision, simultaneously weakening the investment in physical sight. Thank you.
That's perfect. And I would be bold enough to say that all of us have made that choice and that we have decided to see things differently. We know there is a better way, and that better way is the way of forgiveness and love, and seeing things and seeing everyone as kindly, and of course, as we can. And of course, even as we look at our own selves and any foibles that we might notice that we are so good at. All right. So these reviews are very nice. Even currently, if you follow the daily calendar of the lessons, there's a review going on even currently. And so these reviews are a call for us to, again, remind ourselves of who we truly are and why our thoughts and decisions matter. Okay, how about someone else reading us this next section before we go into the practice of that? Okay. Uma, Bill, Uma had raised her hand. I'd let her speak first, and then you can go after her.
Number 374, there is no will but God's.
Yes, please.
I am safe today because there is no will but God's. I can become afraid only when I believe there is another will. I try to attack only when I am afraid, and only when I try to attack can I believe that my eternal safety is threatened. Today I will recognize that all this has not occurred. Yay! I am safe because there is no will but God's. All of this has not occurred is one of my favorite awarenesses. I'm serious.
Very cool, Uma. I want you to help us unpack this paragraph. This has so much, yeah. So please continue.
Well, yes. Earlier I was going to say this business of I will there be lights, combined with there is no will but God's, and God's will and my will are actually one. You're also saying I am God. I mean, I'm one with God. When you say I will there be light, because our wills are one, which is fun for me. I always say, God wills me to be totally healthy, and God wills you to be totally healthy, and God wills us all to be totally happy. And I don't mind willing that stuff. I really appreciate thinking about that stuff. Of course, I do have trouble when there's resistance and people want to force me not to talk about light, but to let them wallow in their darkness. And this is when I do that thing the woman was talking about of trying to figure out what I'm going to say or how do I fix this or what, but that's all clearing up. I offer it. I say, how do you see this? Because even if I'm going, oh God, I have to talk to so-and-so because they're upset. I say, Holy Spirit, how do you see it? Because it never occurred. If I can really get that, I'm totally free.
Thank you. Mia, what would you like to add to that?
Okay, so I'm going to start with something different and then get back to that because it's related. So today I was doing something important. And my kitten was like, play with me, play with me, play with me. And so in that moment, I was like, you're driving me crazy. And then in that moment, when I finished the word crazy, I said, what just happened? You are acting like you're important. That's called entitlement. Nothing you could ever do could be as important as God calling you to be fun and light and play with him. That kitten represents the whole course. And I said, nothing I could ever do would be more important than having fun, being light, laughing, and playing. And it's in these small moments of the day where I believe the Course says, like, there's no small angers, just like there's no small miracles. I said, what in me felt like I was important? And it was like, I let it go. I let this all go right now. Because anytime I make myself important, I have fallen into the darkness. And now the light is right in front of me. It's calling my name. To see that. So I responding to what Uma was saying, it's like whenever the outside, and I'm going to quote that, air quotes it, it's not the outside. It's the inside calling me because I am seeing it. That kitten is inside of me saying, play with me. This thing that you're doing right now is not important. play is important. Light is important. It's reminding me of what it's really about. So I've taken the course, and everything that's seemingly outside, I immediately stop and say, why am I seeing this? What part of me inside is saying, this is important? Or if someone comes to me and complains about something, immediately I say, what in me needs to resolve complaining? What in me sees this? Why did this complaint come to me in recognition of me? Where do I need to heal it in my body? And Uma, this is what I do. Immediately I say, where is the complaint inside me? Where is it? When is it? Can I feel it now? I call it to come up. And Holy Spirit, please take it from me, because I'm ready for the peace. And I can feel it. I can feel it rise inside my body. I feel it release. And like this week has been such an amazing realization of those it's those tiny moments. To me, I mean, I've had big things too, but it's the tiny moments I feel that have given, if you've learned the course and you catch yourself in the tiny moments, because the tiny moments are more than big moments, if you notice, because the tiny moments are happening every second we're alive. If you learn the course through those tiny moments, it's almost like you quantum leap. It's like you quantum leap. And it just keeps rolling. So Uma, if you heard kind of like how I've interpreted it, it's just that idea of why am I making it important? The other thing that I learned is I don't have to say anything aloud. I think the course says somewhere, because I'm still reading the book, somewhere we're all teachers, but you don't have to preach. And when I read that line, I said, I know how it works. It's called telepathy, because if my mind is connected to your mind, all I have to do is think it. So if I'm in front of a situation and I'm like, okay, what in me is reflecting this that I need to learn the lesson from, I just say, bless me, bless me. As I bless myself, I bless them. I go inside and I say, what is this going on in me? And how can I heal it in me? And if I heal it in myself, I heal it in others. And I don't have to say anything. And so it's this constant, the course has really kind of changed my outlook on having to say things all the time. And it's that thing of like having to be right or having to be important. That's the biggest lessons I've learned this week, is not to take myself as important, because I am not this body. I am the energy that can create with it. I will, there be light. That's what we do. Thank you.
Wow, Mia, that's you've expressed it so beautifully, how you practice the course and how you take, as just as the course is suggesting, take full responsibility of what is showing up in front of you. As you ask about, what's the complaint inside me? That's just an amazing example of how the course is to be practiced on a moment by moment basis. Thank you for helping us see that so clearly. And it's an amazing reminder for all of us. And thank you. Thank you. Rich, did you want to say something in response to what Mia said? Or I think Uma wants to respond to her, if that's okay, if you'd let her.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Uma, you go next.
Oh, it's still on. Every time I come to this group, Mia's words blow me away, change my life, and give me juice. Today, though, I think she was giving me advice, and I think that is against the rules. I actually feel a bit battered, which I will then choose to see differently. So I'm checking. Is part of the protocol not to say, Megan, I do this. This works for Megan. Is that I'm asking.
I would respond to that and say that just like Mia said, Uma, that everything that I work on myself heals everyone else.
I
And
understand
so,
that. No, I'm sorry. Everything she said was totally clear to me. I'm not so good at practicing as she is, but it was clearly directed at me as if I had done something wrong. And I think that that's not the correct protocol. I'm very curious about it. And I realize that this
yes.
thing I'm experiencing right now is often what people experience listening to me. That's not lost on me. But I'm
So,
actually asking a very specific, direct question. Are we enjoined to not give a direct advice to people? Yes
so
or
here's,
no?
I might ask Mia to respond, but here's my response first, which is,
Okay.
I did not sense that at all. I did not sense that she was talking to you. I saw her very clearly talking to me. And I said, wow, this is exactly something that I've been attempting to do. And I'll tell you why she was talking to me. Because I have been reminding myself the last couple of weeks that everything, almost, not almost, but absolutely everything that shows up in my life and in my experience, just like you're acknowledging yourself right now, Uma, in terms of what this might mean to you, I need to take full responsibility for. So I know she was talking to me, and how I'm going to apply that is by taking full responsibility for everything and saying, what does this really mean to me? Holy Spirit, show me how does the Holy Spirit see this? And I would ask you to ask the same question. And if you'd still like a response from Mia, and if Mia would like to respond, then I would allow that in
No, I
this.
don't want a response from Mia, and everything you said is clear. I actually understand this, and what she said was totally right on. I'm actually asking a very specific question. Are we not supposed to give advice? And if
Oh,
so, thank you. And what is the defining? Do I have to say should for it to be advice? I mean, give me my protocols.
okay. I'm sorry if I misunderstood your question earlier.
Thank you. Maggie was waving.
Okay, Maggie and Megan is also anxious to respond, so I'll keep quiet. Maggie, you go next.
Yeah, only because Manu, I still have the guidelines up in front of me, and I just thought there is a direct question being asked about the guidelines, and I can directly answer that. That Uma, we don't have in our guidelines anything about not giving each other advice. That's how our guidelines are currently written. I do want to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I do also want to, I just felt to just honor the experience that Uma is having for a moment, because I just, I can relate, and I have been in groups before where it has been part of the guidelines to not give advice to each other for this very reason. So just to kind of give some, I guess just Uma, you're not alone in that. I've had that experience myself where it can feel triggering to have someone give advice when you had not asked for it. So it's not in our guidelines is the direct answer to that. I can relate though to what you're talking about. And I think that that is something that, the group can consider and could talk about if that ever seemed like something that the group of facilitators wanted to discuss. But I think Manu was giving a wonderful response about how to take it to the practice, which is beautiful. I only wanted to just chime in just to be able to answer that direct question.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Megan, what would you like to add to that?
Similar to Maggie, I understand the guidelines, but I also understand I'm learning how to say I statements. But I do know that when a person's name is said, it perks that person up immediately to have a reaction or response. Whether they're good or bad, it does bring them into a conversation that they didn't quite know they were in. So I can totally understand how Uma might feel. She referenced me because I think from her perspective, she knew I wouldn't care. I mean, like I just said, okay, she's, you know, referencing me. So in the same way, I'm hoping that Uma can realize when people are speak her name, they're using it in a loving way versus in a pointed way of trying to point out issues or something. It's really more of an ability to speak on a level that if we can't say an I statement, somehow it comes out as another statement, but it's still an I, no matter what we say, no matter what comes out of our mouths, we're still talking about ourselves. It doesn't matter what we say. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna invite Mia next. Stephanie, if you hold your thoughts for a few more moments, and then we'll probably get to you, Rich. Mia.
Okay, so when I referenced Uma's name, it was to say that what she was referencing, the whole thing that she had referenced. So like when Uma was talking about her situation, I was using her name to reference everything that she said. So it wasn't her specifically as a person, because there is no Mia. I don't exist. This is a personality that was given a name. There's no difference between Uma and I. And when I see this, to me, it says, what in me takes things personally and misunderstands things? And so what part of me do I need to heal now that makes it so when I speak esoterically, which is what happens to me sometimes, or most of the time, I guess, that needs to just heal that energy. So when I do speak, it's clear and not misinterpreted or taken personally, which is kind of like the same thing I said in the beginning. What in me did I take that was so important? It's the thing I was talking about. It's the same thing. What in me am I taking too seriously that I need to heal? So it just like this whole thing is just a lesson right now, because that's how I see it. Like, what in me just took something so seriously that I had to take it personally? Well, how do I have to heal that? And so, you know, every moment is the lesson, and there is no hurt. We are invulnerable. There's no, with no addition, no subtraction. It's just every moment is a beautiful moment. That is just it. And so I just want to say that I see it as myself. This is all about the healing. It just comes around in a circle. And I hope she sees it that way as well.
Thank you. Maggie, I think you want to respond, and then Stephanie, you go next, please.
Yeah, thank you, Manu, and everyone for the conversation. Honestly, I raised my hand again because I remembered there was something else I had wanted to say to Uma and to the group as well, of course. I actually just wanted to thank Uma for being really brave and vulnerable and just sharing that happened right in the moment with us. And I say that very, very honestly to you, Uma, because I recognize myself in what happened there. And there's been plenty of moments in my experience where something has hit me in a way like that. And I've not always felt able, I was gonna say not brave, but I'll just give myself, I haven't always felt able to be really honest and vulnerable right in the moment with it. And I think that it's a very powerful thing that you did there, honestly. And I like aspire to that. I aspire to just be right in the moment with it and just say, this just happened, just the way that you did, because that was it. This just happened. This is happening right now. And I know you had a question that came along with it too, but the acknowledgement of your experience, not being sugar-coated, not being just brushed away or ignored. I think Stephanie said in a session fairly recently something about, if I show up here and I'm not completely honest here, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I just, when Stephanie had said that, I had felt a little like to myself, not because Stephanie directed that at me, but because I know that there are times where I don't have that kind of honesty and vulnerability in the moment. And so just now when this happened, honestly, in my experience, I felt like, oh, I want Uma to get a answer to her question, but I also felt like, wow, like, look what's happening right now. It's really powerful, and it's the practice in action, I think, to just say, this is what's happening. And then Mia to respond very, very kindly, and everyone else who's responding to respond the way that they are as well. It's really just a beautiful demonstration of all of that. So I wanted to say that first, Uma, and then the other thing, just to share, I guess, from my own experience, being someone who can get triggered in that way, I do take great care to make sure that I don't ever give unsolicited advice. You might even say I go too far with it sometimes. I think that there's a balance to strike with this, and it can be tricky to find sometimes. But in my own experience, because I do try to make sure that I'm not doing that to someone else, it really helps if you just frame things always as, this is what I do. This is what I do. This is my experience. This is something that's helpful to me. You don't ever even have to say you might try it. You know, the other person, if it feels inspired for them to try, they're going to pick it up just from what you've said there. And that can be an effective way to communicate with each other without us adding another guideline, even if you want to just try to help avoid those types of moments. But that is all. Thank you all. Really, really beautiful and powerful conversation.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you again, Uma, for making this possible. Stephanie, you're next.
First thing I want to say is being in this group is like being in, this is what heaven must feel like. It's like, it just, we all want to really have a good effect on each other. And I just want to say, I'm grateful for the conversation because it shows we're really trying to be, yes, have goodwill and be loving, but also keep it real. And if everybody is just saying nice things to be nice, then we also lost the point. So I just feel so much respect. And you know, the truth is, when Uma first spoke, I had no idea what she was referring to. So I realized there's all different experiences and points of view. And we're doing this amazing experiment where we are sharing our points of view, the knowledge we have through A Course in Miracles, as honestly and deeply and respectfully as we can. And I think today's group really demonstrated that. So I'm really touched.
Thank you, Stephanie. And same with me. I also didn't quite understand, get the full import of what Uma was suggesting and asking at first. So yeah, it's just beautiful the way it turned out. Thank you so much. Okay, so Rich, what would you like to say to all of us?
I mean, I'm going to go for what we read. I don't really have a comment on that, but on what we read, so I'm looking up stuff. I like how I will there be light. That's sort of a different idea in ACIM versus the will of God. I mean, it is followed up right away by there is no will but God. So that's good to me. But I will there be light. So I'm thinking back to what Megan said about weakening the investment in physical sight and how that relates to says in the book, so as far as physicality is concerned, the body should not feel at all. No pain or pleasure. No response at all is in the mind to what the body does. 100% of the time. However, the strength the body has will always be enough to serve all truly useful purposes in the will of God. So I will there be light. I like that idea about weakening, not saying nothing exists, not going there, but just weakening the investment in physical sight. So, but it's followed up by, there is the will, there is no will but God's. And so then, in the book, you got the one sentence I was looking up about, there is no question but one you should ever ask of yourself, do I want to know my Father's will for me? So that's kind of like an all day, moment to moment mantra, in terms of like, what is my Father's will for me, moment to moment. I'm also looking at 3:4. I try to attack only when I am afraid. Attack. So what is attack? Well, for real, if I look at attack and I'm thinking about attack as overly assertive pursuit of one's aims and interests. If I'm involved with someone in any way, and I have an overly assertive pursuit of my aims and interests, that's not good. That's aggression. That's attack. And the book talks, about, I don't know. The goal is to not be that way in terms of sinless, pure, holy, things like that. For me, there's lots of great sentences to really live by. When the body ceases to attract you, and when you place no value on it as a means of getting anything, in terms of what getting anything means, then there will be no blocks to communication. Your thoughts will be as free as God's. So just really living up to these ideas to my highest honest evaluation of what's truly sinless, pure, and holy. And I guess I also liked 1:3, just in the sense of as far as darkness and shadows, things unseen, things unreal, upsets. There should be no mental upsets. I mean, there's plenty of places in this book where it says you're supposed to be 100% happy, joyous, peaceful, and that's it. You're not supposed to have the slightest mental upset in terms of darkness, fearful, et cetera, et cetera. The goal is real peace, like 1:6 says, the peace of true perception, like a phenomenal sense of tranquility and joy, nothing opposing that. Like, the sense in the manual, nothing I say is contradicted by what I think or do. Like, for real, like 100% of the time is the goal of this book, for real, Jesus God consciousness.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. What I'd like to add to what you said is the previous sentence in this paragraph. I can become afraid only when I believe there is another will. And building on what you said, Rich, basically what this means to me is that other will can only be the egoic personality type construction that we are. And also that same construction that Mia also referenced points to this body. So if this body seems, and therefore this construction seems to have its own will, that is what's not real. And so whenever we believe that, we will be afraid. And so in other words, whenever we do feel fear or are afraid, that means means the obvious thing, that we are not in living the will of God. And therefore we could ask, why am I experiencing this right now? Why is this fear upon me right now? What is it? Why did I call it to myself? Okay, so I'd like to read, before we end today, I'd like to read the applications of this idea and then see if anyone would like to add to that. So these are some useful forms of this idea for specific applications. Remember, the idea is there is no will but God's. Let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. So anything that's going on, let me perceive this in accordance with that will. It is God's will. You are his son, dear one, and mine as well. That's interesting. Maybe we'll come back to that. And the last sentence, this is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. I don't know if we can actually wrap this up today, but Rich, what would you like to say?
All right, just one other thing I was thinking about. Like, I mean, pretty much anything in ACIM applies to pretty much anything else in ACIM. And you know, like as far as the will of God goes, living in it. I just came across this earlier today. It's just a great idea. Like when it was saying there in lesson 87 about you know, darkness and shadow and afraid of things unseen and unreal. And then the book says, you know, in the lesson section, it says, permit no idle thought to go unchallenged. So then idle, meaningless, purposeless, something that's meaningless and purposeless, an idle thought, like, you know, so I don't want that. It's an ego thought. It's going to bring guilt. And then the suggestion in the lessons says immediately say to yourself this thought I do not want. I choose instead the thought that it's blocking. You know, that any type of idle thought is blocking a God thought. So like, you know, choose instead the God thought that ego thought is blocking. But I do want to say something about that interesting sentence, because I read it too a couple times, and I'm like, you know, I could go a lot of different ways with this, but 4:3, it is God's will you are his son, person, name of person, and mine as well. So all I can think is that it means, you know, I am also God's son, right? I mean, I'm not thinking somebody else is my son. So it's a little bit strange English.
Yeah, I agree, Rich. And so that was my first interpretation as I read it, but I think the other interpretation might be better. It's God's will that you are his son, and it's my will as well that I am your brother. So I think that's kind of my second level interpretation of that. Okay, so in the last couple minutes, if we can hear from Stephanie as we close this out.
I just want to say, I think it is my son too, because we're responsible for each other and for ourselves, and we're oneness. So, and you know what I think? I could be wrong about this. You could disagree with me. I won't be offended. But when I read the book, sometimes it's worded so oddly that I have to really focus on it and like think about it differently. Now, I think that probably drives some people a little crazy, which maybe it has for me too. But I really think we're supposed to see everyone, because we're all teachers and we're all learners.
No.
All right. Well, let me say that we could disagree on one. I know you're very exacting about language, which is fine. But I do think we are all teachers and we are all learners. So if we see ourselves as taking care of the oneness, then that could include we could see each other. Okay, you could disagree with me. It's okay.
No, I think we should continue this next time. And there's a few things there. So, Johanna, whatever you have to share, please go ahead and then also help us close this session. Oh, you don't want to. Okay. Okay. So, at the end of the day, the structure of the relationship, in my opinion, is meaningless. Father, son, daughter, brother, sister. That's just a construct. So I think you're 100% correct, Stephanie. As might what Uma is going to say is also 100% correct. Go ahead.
Oh, the Course says, to be very clear, that God created me. I didn't create myself. I didn't create you. I didn't create God. There's a direct lineage of what creates what. So to see someone else as my son, it's a very Buddhist thing. They suggest you see everyone as having been your mother and being your son. I'm not against it. I just don't think it's Course.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let's just settle back in for a few more seconds. Come to that quiet center within us and without us. And as we smile inwardly and experience our breathing, Let's open our eyes and smile outwardly and continue breathing. So yeah, please don't forget to breathe. This has been beautiful.